We begin this morning with growing questions for President Biden and the handling of classified documents after serving in the Obama administration and before becoming president.
According to a person familiar with the matter, at least one additional batch of documents marked classified has been found. The initial discovery of documents was made public earlier this week. Those files were discovered in the Washington office Mr. Biden used after he was vice president. Those documents are now under review by the DOJ. Now, that source tells NBC News this second set of files was found in a different location and that aides have been searching for any additional classified materials that might be in other locations since November. So far, the White House has not replied to a request for comment, and the Justice Department had no comment. On Tuesday, President Biden said he was cooperating fully. For the latest, let's bring in NBC News White House correspondent Ali Rafa. Ali, good morning. So first of all, what can you tell us about this new batch of documents that were found, and what more do we know about the search for any potential additional documents?
Yeah, Joe, good morning. Well, remember, we had way more questions than answers even after that first discovery of that batch of classified documents before my colleagues at the White House, Carol Lee, Mike Memoli, and Ken Delanian at the Justice Department got this scoop yesterday that at least one more batch of classified documents had been found. And what we do know right now is that after that initial discovery, Biden's team went searching through several other properties, several other offices, looking for more documents that may exist to be able to turn them over to the National Archives, give them to the Department of Justice to review. We don't know exactly when or where these documents were discovered, but we can assume that President Biden's two homes in Delaware, as well as any other offices he used during his time after the vice presidency, before his presidency, any offices he used during that time. We also don't know the level of classification of these documents, what exactly is inside of them, and how exactly they ended up not just at the Penn Biden Center, but wherever this second batch was found. So definitely a lot of questions still to be answered at this moment.
We have been talking about documents for months now. That's because last summer, the FBI searched former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. That turned up more than 100 documents with classified markings. That search happened after the FBI learned that Trump had not fully complied with a previous subpoena. So now earlier this week, Republican Congressman James Comer sent a letter to the White House counsel's office requesting more information on what's happening now. What's the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy saying about all this?
Yeah, Joe, well, you can imagine Republicans are seeing this as sort of the gift that keeps on giving. They had already planned to launch probes into President Biden and his family members. Now this is just adding fuel to the fire. So you saw what Representative Comer sent over. Then you have Senators Hawley and Lindsey Graham calling for A.G. Garland to appoint a special counsel like we saw in the former President Trump's case. And then we heard the current House Speaker Kevin McCarthy speak about this yesterday. Listen to what he had to say.
Every time we find something that comes out before the election dealing with Biden's family, it's pushed under the rug. It's called a lie. It's called the Russians are doing it. And now, why did they treat President Trump totally differently? They don't get to the bottom of it because they treat people differently based upon their philosophical political party, and that is wrong, and America dislikes that.
Republicans pointing out what they think are similarities in these cases, but the White House is pointing out differences between this case involving President Biden and former President Trump. They say that former President Trump was subpoenaed multiple times and repeatedly asked for those documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate, ignored those subpoenas, which led to the FBI searching Mar-a-Lago. And they say that President Biden, in this case, his team immediately turned the small batch of documents, at least the first discovery of documents, over as soon as they found to the DOJ as well as the National Archives.
All right, Ali, thank you so much.
Over on Capitol Hill, newly elected Republican Congressman George Santos is coming under pressure to step down from members of his own party. GOP officials from Nassau County, New York, held a press conference yesterday urging Santos, who admitted to lying about key details of his background, to resign immediately. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us with more on this. Julie, good morning to you. So some pretty damning comments from those New York Republicans. Walk us through what they said about George Santos and why they want him to stand down.
Yeah, just more bad news piling on for George Santos, sworn in just a few days ago as a congressman officially, and he's avoiding answering questions about any of the fabrications that he has made about his resume, his jobs, his personal history, but this time angering the local officials who helped get him here. Take a listen from the local Nassau County Republican Chairman Joseph Chiron, what he had to say yesterday about Mr. Santos.
George Santos' campaign last year was a campaign of deceit, lies, and fabrication. He deceived the voters of the 3rd Congressional District. He deceived the members of the Nassau County Republican Committee, elected officials, his colleagues, candidates, his opponents, and even some of the media. He's not welcome here at Republican headquarters for meetings or at any of our events. As I said, he's disgraced the House of Representatives, and we do not consider him one of our Congresspeople.
Now, some of these comments around the fact that George Santos actually submitted a resume to the county Republicans in order to get them to throw their support behind him. And his resume included embellishments about going to college, graduating at the top 1% of his class, and others that we've been hearing about over the last few weeks.
And Julie, Santos has been pretty defiant through all this. What's been his response about all of this?
Look, I was chasing him in the hallways for weeks now. I mean, for a week now, for days now. It feels like such a long time that we've been trying to get answers from Congressman Santos. And yesterday, when all of this came to light, just days and days of piling on these allegations against him, he's not letting that pressure take him anywhere. He actually issued a tweet, if we could put it up on the screen here, saying, quote, "I was elected to serve the people of New York 3, not the party and politicians. I remain committed to doing that and regret to hear that local officials refuse to work with my office to deliver results to keep our community safe and lower the cost of living. I will not resign." He's telling reporters that he will not resign in the halls yesterday as well. My colleague Kate Santalese asked him, and he replied that he would not. We also asked him earlier in the week about other allegations, including from the FEC looking into him now. And he said that he will speak to the media on his time.
All right, we'll see what happens next. Julie Sirkin, thank you.
Now to those deadly storms in California. Another round of rain is set to hit the northern part of the state as early as tonight, and officials say it could last up to a week. Tens of thousands of people near the Monterey Peninsula were told to leave their homes yesterday after authorities warned that the already swollen Salinas River is expected to overflow.
Massive mudslides and fast-moving water continue to cripple roadways, bridges, and train tracks. Take a look here where parts of the road was literally wiped away. And it's not just rain. Snow is actually slamming the mountains, with some areas have already reaching their average snow totals for the season. That's 3 months early. Let's get a closer look at what to expect from your weather forecast. Boy, folks in California, they're getting the brunt of it right now.
Yeah, definitely. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is here with a look. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, guys. Great to see you. And yeah, it just keeps on going. We have tracked 8 storms since December 27th. We're going to track at least 3 or 4 more over the next week. And yes, we are still talking about the West. Now, California's going to get a little bit of a break today. Central and Southern California, a bit of a break before rain comes back tomorrow. It's really the western portions of Washington and Oregon where we're seeing that heavy rain falling, especially where you see those brighter colors, those yellows and oranges and reds. Those are the heaviest downpours. And we're going to see this all day long. Rain is going to return tonight in California, and then we're going to see that over the weekend as well. We have higher mountain snow. Once again, that's in the blue. The pink is the mixed precipitation. So we have it all. We're going to continue to see storm after storm coming onshore. Today, another storm. Good news is that break for California, but we're seeing gusty winds as well. That's adding to the trouble there because we have such saturated grounds that when we have that wind blowing up to 60 miles per hour in some spots, it's going to bring those trees down. So we're concerned about that. Here is tomorrow, that rain returning to California. That is good news. We're going to get flooding very quickly because we're so saturated, and we will continue that over the weekend. Concerned about flash flooding as well in the state of Oregon today, where you see that darker blue. That's where we're concerned mostly for that flash flooding. Rainfall amounts anywhere from up to an inch, even up to 4 inches in some spots along the coast of Washington and California. And where you see the pinks and purples, that's where we're expecting the most snow as well. That's a concern. Another concern are strong storms. You see that cold front in portions of the east. That is the storm that affected California on Monday. It has moved cross country, and now it's impacting portions of the mid-Atlantic into the southeast. And we are expecting strong storms later on this evening. So the setup is for those East Coast rain and storms. We're going to look for a severe risk later on tonight. We had some strong storms earlier today in Kentucky and also southern portions of Illinois. That was earlier this morning. But guys, tonight we're going to see the chance for some tornadoes, strong winds up to 60 miles per hour, and even some hail.
All over the country, we're seeing stuff. All right, thanks, Michelle.
Sure.
Michelle, thanks. Well, now to that technical glitch that led to chaos at the nation's airports. A critical software system used by the FAA went down, prompting a pause to departing flights, leading to thousands of delays and cancellations yesterday. And the ripple effects are still playing out today. NBC News aviation correspondent Tom Costello is at Reagan National Airport just outside Washington with all the latest. Good morning, Tom.
Kathy, good morning. So things are moving. Behind me, we've got planes watching the bags being loaded onto the planes, activity on the ramp and also on the runways. At the moment, we've got about 525 delays, 63 cancellations. That is a vast improvement over where we were yesterday with this series of cascading delays and cancellations. We now know the cause of this. This was a damaged file in a critical piece of software that the FAA relies on every day. And right now, it does not appear to be cyber-related. At airports across the country this morning, all systems are go, even though some passengers are still struggling with the domino effects of yet another turbulent day for air travel. The FAA now says a corrupted software file led to the largest ground stop of flights since 9/11, just before we came on the air Wednesday.
We've got a major outage, breaking news coming from the FAA.
This is a big story right now.
The FAA has grounded all American flights.
That software shutdown led to a 2-hour halt on the tarmac and then 9,000 delays and nearly 3,000 cancellations through the day. The FAA says the NOTAM, or Notice to Air Missions system, went down. It relays essential safety information to pilots on everything from runway closures to construction, military, and space activities.
It provides the pilots with the most up-to-date information on things that are not normal. And airline pilots are required to have it.
As the agency worked to bring it all back online, morning travelers, especially with connections, found themselves stuck and scrambling.
We all anticipate coming to the airport and everything going smoothly, and today that didn't happen.
Government sources tell NBC News issues started developing Tuesday, prompting the FAA to reboot the system.
This is an incredibly complex system, so glitches or complications happen all the time, but we can't allow them to ever lead to this level of disruption.
Industry experts say it points to the need for upgrades to the system. Lawmakers, meanwhile, say they want more transparency.
We can't look at this as just some software glitch. This is a major problem. We can't have this again.
All of it rubbing salt in the wounds of a traveling public still recovering from a tumultuous holiday travel period. But unlike that meltdown, this time around, airlines will not be obligated to pay for hotels or meals.
We have Airbnbs booked, rental cars booked, and that's going to be a nightmare trying to get a refund.
Yeah, the bottom line is that the airlines are not responsible for those costs. By the way, a very strange coincidence yesterday. Canada's NOTAM system also went down for several hours. It appears to be completely unrelated. Canada says it does not see any connection, but just a strange coincidence on a very bad day for travel in the United States. Things are improving today, but you can expect that it's going to take still a while to work through these delays that ripple through the system. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, what a mess. All right, Tom Costello. Tom, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.